IBC 2019 ad Amsterdam, benvenuti in questa bellissima città in occasione di questa fiera, una delle più importanti del mondo per il settore audio-video broadcast. Adcom è presente come ogni anno con un team di esperti che cercherà di mettere alla luce queste novità che si preannunciano molto interessanti. Vediamo subito qualcosa di molto succoso da parte di alcuni marchi molto grossi come Sony, Canon, eccetera, 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 e magari qualche outsider che ha da proporci qualcosa di veramente interessante. Un altro prodotto incredibilmente interessante nel line-up dei nostri prodotti audio per il video, ma non solo, non potevamo mancare allo stand di SoundDevices e abbiamo l'onore di avere qui il Paul Isaacs, che è il rappresentante massimo di questa compagnia, e ci presenterà appunto la nuova serie che è appena uscita dei MixPre, la seconda serie, quindi avremo il 3, il 6, il 10 che saranno tra poco disponibili, sono già preordinabili. So, Paul, thank you.
Thank you.
It's always an honor to have you.
Thank you.
First question before we go into the technical specs.
Yes.
The previous series is going to be discontinued and this one is coming up.
That's correct. Yes, the previous series had actually 6 models.
Yeah.
The 3, the 6, the 10T, the 3M, the 6M, and the 10M. The M stood for musician, but it was a bit confusing for the customer to choose which one. So with the MixPre Series 2, we've consolidated it down to 3 models, the 3, the 6, and the 10.
So what you've done with the MixPre series is SoundDevices, being an incredible and pro company, aim to give the pros the best they can get in the market. You scale down a little bit, still having this incredible quality, but in a more affordable package. So, exciting news about this new product.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly what we did. Several years ago when we got into the whole MixPre thing, we wanted to bring our quality and technology to a wider audience. Because as you know, there's a lot more content creation going on, not necessarily just at the middle and higher budget production, but also on YouTube and podcasting and a lot more videography going on. So we wanted to say, hey, there's a big content creation. Let's bring our audio quality and build quality to a wider audience. And that was what MixPre was about. Anyway, we've learned, that's been on the market now for 2.5 years. And during this time, we learned a lot of information from how these products were being used. And we wanted to answer a lot of those needs with this next generation. So the Series 2, so this is, although it looks very, very similar, it's actually, internally, it's different hardware. We've had to add circuitry, more memory, more processing, and all this to do these new features.
The preamps are the same though?
The actual Kashmir preamps are the same, but what comes after that is different. Yeah. So maybe the first thing we should talk about is, well, what would you like to talk about first?
Well, the most exciting news, it's not the only news, but the most exciting for me is the 32-bit.
It's the 32-bit float. Okay, so I'm going to give you a simple explanation as possible. Everyone knows what bit depth is. Well, I think a lot of people know what bit depth is, and traditionally we've recorded at 16-bit and 24-bit. 16-bit was the bit depth for CD, right? Yep. And it sounds great, doesn't it? So, and then 24-bit, we went higher, and the higher the number of the bits, the more dynamic range the container, the recording container can store, okay? So
I think lots of our customers are quite familiar to that concept because we are a video-aimed company. So with the release of these new cameras coming up with the great wide, yes.
Okay, so yeah, the wider the dynamic range, the less likely you're going to lose your signal into noise, okay? And with the darks, and the dark is equivalent to silence in audio, right? Yeah. So if you've got greater bit depth, you can actually record much lower level signals with much greater quality and less noise. Okay, some people say it's more resolution but less noise. Okay, so
So clipping is virtually impossible here.
Right, but 24-bit, let's just talk about 24. 24-bit has been around for, years, actually a number of decades, and it creates the best recordings possible, right? In a controlled environment where you're gain staging and setting your gain levels correctly, you can get really great recordings, and you don't really need to go beyond that. But the key here is if you can gain stage properly. If you what's the equivalent on a camera? Setting the ISO correctly and all this, right?
White balance and stuff.
Balance, right. But sometimes there are situations where you don't have this control. Okay, let me give you a few examples why you might need that wider dynamic range. Then I'll get into the technical stuff. Okay, sound effects. Imagine a situation where you're trying to record a jet fighter plane traveling from 100 miles away to over the top of you. It's going to go from very, very quiet to suddenly really, really loud. That dynamic range is huge. Okay, so where do you set the gain level?
You can't.
Yeah, and you only get one chance because then it's gone.
Tech specs also, so 3, 6, and 10. Same USB capability, so it will capture audio for like a computer use. At home.
USB audio interface. So we have a 12, the 10 is 12 in, 4 out, the 6 is 8 in, 4 out, and the 3 behind me here is 6 in, 2 out.
So the time code is also an important feature of this thing. So you have time code through the analog input and HDMI is still there, right?
So one of the big differences between this generation and the previous generation is they all now have fully featured timecode generators and readers, so they can be master or slave. With the first generation, the 3 and the 6 only had timecode readers. They couldn't be the master. Yeah, so now you don't really need to run it with one of these small external boxes, like a tentacle sync or a timecode systems or an ambient box.
Siamo qui allo stand della Zoom, non vi devo presentare Zoom perché penso che tutti voi conosciate le grandi possibilità che questi piccoli ma efficientissimi recorder audio possono dare a un videomaker o a chiunque deve fare una ripresa audio di qualità ed ha bisogno di un prodotto piccolo e portatile per farlo, ma anche che sia di altissima qualità. Oggi sono qui con Sam Clark di Zoom che molto gentilmente ci ha concesso qualche minuto per presentare il nuovissimo Zoom F6 che come vedete è molto portatile ed è il primo registratore portatile sul mercato che adotta la tecnologia dei 32 bit. Non vi anticipo niente, probabilmente faremo un video anche nostro, ma adesso voglio fare qualche domanda a Sam Clark. So Sam, thanks for having us.
Hi.
I just want to know a few things about this incredible product because it came out now a few months ago.
Yeah, it was announced a few months ago. Yeah, it was announced a few months ago, and hopefully shipping fairly soon. Hopefully.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. So tell us a little bit about this incredible product.
Okay, no worries. So the first really thing and the kind of big trick of the F6 is the 32-bit flow recording. So we've got 2 AD converters. So the dynamic range is absolutely massive. So basically, you cannot clip this unit. Doesn't matter how loud you're speaking, or no matter if there's a noise that goes by you as you're recording, and you can fix it all in post-production. You can bring the levels all the way down or all the way up. So again, if you're recording someone and they were too quiet, you can just bring the levels up with no noise or no loss of quality.
So this is a dream come true, actually, because we're having a wide variety of cameras with a wide dynamic range.
Yep.
But as for audio, something was missing in this field. But right now, this new technology came out to help us.
Yes.
So what about the preamps?
Okay. So the preamps are really, really low noise. So they're the same preamps that are in the FA10, which is our flagship unit, really. So people have used these on feature films and documentaries and worldwide productions, and they've held up. It's held up with the best of them. So the F6 is looking to be similar, but obviously with the added 32-bit means that the ultra low noise is helping you, but also the fact that you can't clip it is just, as you said, it's a dream come true, especially if you're a one-man band or a single shooter. You might not have time to get the levels right every time, and you don't have time to change them when there's a change in dynamics. Well, that's the thing. The beauty with this is you can just do it all later on after you've done your recording. You don't need to touch the dials. Once you've got them set roughly how you think they're going to be, you don't have to worry.
So this is tiny,
Yep.
but also quite rugged.
Yes.
Nice, clear display. Is it remotely controllable like other units?
Yep. So there's an optional Bluetooth dongle which you can fit in the side here, and this enables you to use an iPad or an iPhone. And there's an app for it. Say it's similar to the F8 app, and you can control everything you can control in the unit on your iPhone. So, for example, what I think is a great feature is the metadata editor. Yep. You can use your phone's keyboard or your iPad's keyboard to edit all the track names, to put notes in without having to use the little screen. You can just do it all on your phone. So later on, when you go back to do the post-production, you've got all your naming scheme is all correct, and you've got all your notes there.
What about timecode?
Yep, there's time code. So on the side of the unit here, there is time code in and out, which is 3.5mm jack. This does provide its own time code as well, so you can sync this to other units, or the other units can sync to.
It generates time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So powering option, I see something really interesting in the back, especially for those video users that have a lot of these batteries.
Yes. Yeah. So this is a first for Zoom. Using a Sony L series battery. So again, as you said, photographers or videographers have loads of these lying around for lights, for cameras or whatever. So you can just pop one of these batteries in. There's also options for AA batteries, so it takes 4 of them, and the Sony, and the USB-C can also power the unit as well. So you've got 3 options. And the great thing is that if you've got a Sony battery in here and the AA's, if the Sony battery runs out unexpectedly, it will automatically switch over to the AA's without any loss. Okay. So you don't have to worry about, if you're using this and it's on all day syncing the time code, for example, you don't need to worry about the unit all of a sudden switching off, because the moment it detects a slight drop in voltage, it will switch over to the other battery straight away.
Well, how do you attach it? How can you use it? Is it only portable? Because I see this little thing here.
So there's a few different ways. So there's a standard tripod mount on the bottom, which you can attach to anything. Or these clips here, these aren't necessarily designed as belt clips, but they can be used for that. So you could.
They look like them.
Yeah, they could. They do. Yeah. So you could run this through your belt, and it's not very heavy. So you can mount it like that, and you can still got access to
How heavy?
controls. How heavy?
500 grams.
Yeah, I'd say about 500 grams. Yeah. So you can do that. There is an optional bag as well, which is like a shoulder bag, which then you can obviously access the unit, and it'll have like a weatherproof cover on the front, so you don't have to worry about it getting damaged in the elements. As well, you can attach a camera on top of the unit as well. So again, perfect for single
You
shooters.
can?
Yeah.
You can. Is there an optional mount?
It comes in a box.
Okay,
So
that's good.
It's a little kind of a metal plate that you unscrew these, put it over the top, and you can mount your camera. So again, for single shooters, it's perfect because they can just carry one tripod around with their F6 and their camera on top of it, and they can control everything.
So I see one is the XC slot.
Yep, that's right, yep.
Up to?
512 gigabytes.
That's impressive. There are probably other things to say, but we want to keep it short. We're going to have some other videos on it.
Yep.
Lo troverete presto nel nostro shop ed è già preordinabile. Sono molto contento di essere qui allo stand della Deity, che è un marchio che abbiamo scoperto poco tempo fa, ma già ha attratto l'attenzione di molti videomakers e ingegneri del suono in tutto il mondo, grazie anche alla simpatia di Mr. Andrew Jones. Thanks for having us. Ovviamente siamo qui non solo per ribadire il nostro impegno nella diffusione di questo marchio, ma anche per presentare dei nuovi prodotti. So Andrew, tell us a little bit about this incredible product.
Well, this is our new HDTX. It's called the HDTX because it's for handheld dynamic microphones. But what we ended up doing was going well beyond handheld dynamics, because we gave it phantom power. So you can do a boom microphone. But not just that, you can take the boom microphone, take it off, because we also gave it a lavalier input. So there we go, plug a little lavalier in, and there you just pop this in your pocket, you're done. Not just can only do that though, we gave it one more feature, and that is we built in a recorder into the unit. Records right to a micro SD card, uncompressed, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz PZM raw audio.
Okay, that's incredible, that's great news. Ovviamente il prezzo sarà molto basso, quindi aspettatevi presto notizie da noi per quanto riguarda questo prodotto. So what about battery life?
So battery life. Let's say you want to use phantom power. That drains the battery, right?
Absolutely.
Let's say you want to use a high output, 50 milliwatts. That drains the battery. Let's say you want to record. That drains the battery. Let's say you want to do all three. Still 10 hours.
What about the RF transmission? It's like the rest of the company, so 100 milliwatts maximum power and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, so all the features of the BPTX are built into this thing. You have the analog limiter, you have the low cut, you have the high frequency boost, the 100 milliwatts, you have mute, you have complete remote control from the Duo RX. Plus, you also have remote turning on and turning off the recorder.
I was about to ask that.
Yeah, so everything there, built-in battery. It has a bigger battery than the BPTX, so it's got to compensate for when you're using Phantom. But if you're not using Phantom, let's say you've got a microphone out there that has a AA battery, right? You didn't buy a Deity mic, I'll forgive you. It's okay, I understand. But let's say you put one of those on here so you don't have the Phantom turned on. You're gonna get even more battery life than your normal lavalier pack.
Okay. So obviously you can make now what they call a trio, with a lavalier plus one of these, or you use two of these to have, yes, like an interview like this with two handheld microphones. Yeah, exactly. What about, this is incredible, this is great news. What about, briefly, some new products from the Deity line?
So we've got also, it's talking about lavaliers, right? A lavalier you could pair with this would be our new WLav Micro. I mean, this thing,
It's tiny.
3 millimeters in diameter, 10 millimeters long. That's tiny. The cable is 1.2 millimeters thick. I mean, that's just a nice, loose, waggly kind of cable.
The cable is actually quite, even just a little bit smaller than the microphone itself.
Just a little bit smaller. And that's perfect for hiding behind a button. You can completely expose the microphone behind like a button and no one would even notice on camera. Or if you've got a tight cocktail dress, a female that's wearing a very tight shirt, or a man that is wearing a lot of, like a muscle kind of guy, wears a tight shirt, you're gonna still be able to find a way of hiding this microphone.
Do you think that you guys are gonna make some concealer thing to like protect it, or there are accessories? I see accessories here.
So we include actually Rycoat stickies and undercovers with the kit. So if you don't have them, you never used them before, you're gonna get a couple as samples. And then you could always contact your local pro audio dealer and buy more things from Rycoat, from Hidemic, from people like Ursa that make mounts. We've actually talked to quite a few of them, and they have samples so they can start making accessories for you guys. If you love those kinds of accessories, things like the Hidemic product, the Ursa disc concealers, any of that kind of stuff, they're making it. It's coming out and it's going to be on the market, and they're going to support us, and we're going to kind of work with them to make sure they can make it so it fits nice and snug with the product.
Okay, that's great. Anything different from NAB except these two products that we just reviewed?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just getting it on the market. What we showed at NAB was what we thought were pretty good lavaliers and a couple of good microphones. We went to do beta testing this summer, and what ended up happening was we gave it to some people that do documentary, people who do reality TV, a couple of people that do narrative kind of projects, and they came back with a list of things they wanted changed. And the list was fairly long, and we said, okay, let's start to rethink about what we're gonna do. Let's not bring it to market. Let's take a step back, evaluate what we need to change, make the changes, and do more testing. So we didn't want to rush to market. It's so easy to rush to market, sell a bunch, use the public as a beta test, and then you end up with a Mark II like 2 months later. We did not want to do that. We wanted to come to market with a product that the customer day one was going to love. So we've taken our time, and what we're now excited to announce here at IBC is most of our lavaliers will be coming out in the next 45 days.
Okay, that's great news. We're going to review them and introduce them to the Italian market, hopefully even wider market. So thanks, Andrew. Grazie, Andrew. I hope I can see you again soon with new products. Keep up the good work, okay?
Grazie.